Welcome to the May 5th meeting of the joint meeting of the JV Fletcher Library Board of Trustees with the Permanent Town Building Committee. If we get a call to order, please read the roll, Buffy.
Yep. All right. So here we go. Dirk's here. Fleckner.
Here.
Roach.
Here.
Secor.
Here.
Siegel.
Here.
Teal.
Here.
Cook. Nancy Cook not here tonight.
No, she's got a event tonight.
Okay. Hazelton.
Here.
Karpinski.
Here.
Mike Padden is not here. Roberts.
Here.
Wimberg.
Here.
Zegowitz.
Here.
Berlinski not here. Perkins not here. Liedberg.
Here.
Rainville.
Here.
Lass.
Here.
And I didn't see Jeff Goodwin. Jennifer McCrory.
Here.
And none of the FAA people are here. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And Andrea Bono Bunker not here. Okay, go ahead.
So the first item of business is the approval of minutes from April 7th. Hopefully you all read the draft, and I guess the first question is, are there any changes or edits required? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
So I guess all in favor, please do the honors, Buffy.
Yep. Dirk's aye. Fleckner.
Aye.
Roach.
Aye.
Secor.
Aye.
Siegel.
I think I have to abstain because I was away last month.
Oh, yes. Thank you for noticing that. Yep. And Teal.
Aye.
Cook not here. Hazelton.
Aye.
Karpinski.
Aye.
Padden not here. Wimberg, you were away.
Correct, abstain.
Okay. Zegowitz.
Aye.
So let's see where we're at.
Did you skip me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jean.
Aye.
There you are. I already gave you credit. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 902.
Thank you. Moving along to the architect's report. If there's no one here from FAA, is that you, Ellen, or?
I will be speaking on behalf of them. So I'm going to give the architect's report and the OPM report. So I'll start with the architect's report. The MAB submittal, which was part of the vote for the last joint committee meeting, that was submitted to the state, and we are awaiting any response from them. The wastewater treatment plant, we are seeking a groundwater discharge permit, and this has been sent to the Massachusetts DEP. The stormwater pollution prevention plan, this has also been submitted to the state. There has been, it is not listed here, but the Massachusetts DEP abatement notification has also been completed, and we have received word that the mandatory waiting period required for that has been completed. The next item is that we hosted a pre-construction meeting at the site on April 29th. We had 21 attendees, and these included the town planner, building commissioner, members of the water department, the police department, the fire department, conservation department, health department, and also town engineers. It also included people from the town manager's office and the library, and also Chris Karpinski on behalf of the Permanent Town Building Committee. Hutter Construction was also represented, as well as RJ Pachat, who is one of the subs who will perform site work, Feingold Alexander, and Horsley Witten, as well as CHA. This meeting was a mandatory requirement before the permit can be issued. It was part of the planning board requirements. At the meeting, we discussed the building permits and the other various permits required, site protection, police details, notifications to the town, the schedule, erosion control measures, and also submittals during the construction process. But most importantly, it was an opportunity for all of the critical parties from the town officials to meet some of the key people from the team and discuss construction site conditions. I can actually pause right there. I want to just offer if I know Ellen and Chris Karpinski were also present for that. Is there anything you wanted to add on the pre-construction meeting?
Ellen, I'll let you go first.
I think one of the things that might need to be addressed is the silence in the town or zoning bylaws on what constitutes the time of a construction day. So, it sounded like most of the town officials believe construction should start at 7 a.m. So that may be something that we need to address just to be sure that we have happy neighbors in the center.
I think the constitute of that is that Hutter was planning to start at 6 a.m. and generally we require anyone under subdivision control 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we're reviewing that with the land use department. And if I need to have further conversations with the contractor, we'll do that at that point in time. But we generally think that 6 a.m. is too early. It also means that they may be starting their equipment as early as 5:30 to warm it up to be ready to go at 6. So we want to mitigate that to the extent practicable, and we'll be working through that.
And I just wanted to add that it seemed like the long pole in the tent that we identified at the moment right now to keep this project moving forward is getting the building permit approved. And so I would say that whatever resources this team has to share with the building commissioner, who seems to be, doing a great job at really overwhelmed, running everything by himself, I guess, whatever help we can offer him will help move that process forward.
That actually is the next topic on the agenda. So thank you for queuing that up, Chris.
Actually, first, I think Jim has a question.
Yeah, I was just curious, is there any third-party review required or
Third-party review of the drawings?
yeah, of the architecturals or the fire protection or anything else that's got to go through the approval process?
No.
And I'm just asking, I'm just curious if that's if that might just help move things along quicker, because yeah, it's a big project and there's a lot going on, a lot crossing the Eric's desk.
There is not a requirement of it, and we had not, I believe it would have been the town's discretion to have chosen to include that, but to that end, we did talk with the building commissioner at the meeting, and then Mike Edwards has followed up with him. So the fifth item on this list is the building permit and the demolition permit. It was agreed that the application included a demolition permit as well as the building permit. So the town is going to approve the demolition permit first, with the intent of that approval being this week. And so in addition to assist with the building permit review process, the architect and engineering team has been in touch with the building commissioner to answer questions, and we offered a page turn and any other additional assistance we could do for the walkthrough and to assist with the review of the drawing set. I see Jean has her hand raised.
Yes, quick question. When is the site fencing going up?
So we have not issued our notice to proceed. We have issued a notice of award. So the intent is we were queuing everything up so that once the notice to proceed is issued, the Hutter has their site contractor as queued up as much as they can be. They were present for this meeting with the intent of that happening as one of the first steps, as well as some tree removal. And Chris, I know the tree removal is something you were following. Do you want to comment on that topic or a different one?
Actually that and the fence that Jean asked. So the way Hutter said, they really want to start with clearing the trees, rubbing the site, and then getting that site fence up rather quickly. And I shared with the abutters that you know, be delineating the property line well, and we'll inspect that once that's up to be sure that's correct. But both those things will be happening very early in the project.
And follow up to that question, the post office box, is that going to be moved to another location nearby or taken away? Before people start putting in mail into that box, we should know.
Ballots.
To be honest, the post office box, actually, I don't think that has been mentioned yet. And I believe that that would be within the fence line of the construction site per the current documents. So let me take a closer look at that. Ellen, do you recall if that's been mentioned? I don't think I've heard that
No, we
mentioned.
haven't reached out to the US Postal Service yet, so I can make a call. I mean, there still are a few things on site that we're moving, so I can make a call to the post office, and maybe we can, you know, maybe it could be moved temporarily closer to the church sidewalk.
Mhm.
The reason it's located where it is because the sidewalk gets cleared so that people, you know, can both walk down the common and also walk up the sidewalk to place mail in it. So let me call and find out what the procedure is to get that relocated.
And alternatively, Ellen, I wonder if there is a sort of lockout tagout type of option. If that would mean that there would not be another replacement post box in the area, but it does. Our plan is for that to remain in its current location when we're done. I don't know how the post office prefers that scenario.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So I guess this building permit is next up, or is that all,
So
or did you cover that?
I-
What are we, what are we demolishing?
a large portion of the building, most everything of the 1961 construction. So there is inside the drawing set, there is the 1961 addition, which is behind the main circulation desk and has the mezzanine area. That area of the building is being demolished. That is where the new elevator and stairway will go, and the new entry will be in that relative area. But also that construction in the 60s, the structural system and so forth would not be compliant in its current design. And then we are also removing a portion of the rear of the building, and so that we can add on to it. So I'd say maybe opening up a portion of the rear of the building. The two 1980s wings have the back sides of them being opened up.
Okay, thanks.
So the benefit of having the permits separated so that demolition can be underway, and including because one of the first pieces of demolition would be abatement. So that is a task that happens when there's very limited people within the building. In terms of that is everything on the architect's report, but if there's no other questions, I can move on to the OPM report.
I think Jean's got one.
Oh, Jean?
I have a question, but maybe it relates to B.3, so I'll hold my question until then.
Okay. But the first item of the OPM report is a little bit repetitive, but we have issued a notice of award to Hutter Construction. We're awaiting this, a number of permits that we have applied for to be completed, and we're also providing all the required pre-construction process that is per the Town Planning Board preconditions document that was in their review process. We're also finalizing the contract, the insurance, builder's risk insurance in particular. You'll see that come up again tonight, and the bonding with Hutter Construction. And we're waiting to issue the notice to proceed until we've completed all of these milestones, so that we are officially moving into the construction phase for all of the parties involved. Any questions about that before I move on? Item 2 is the third-party testing. I am asking for that to be held. Ellen and I just spoke about that, but we need to have the, with apologies, our team, including the CHA's version of this needs to be reviewed further with Kristen and Mike from the town manager's office, as well as Ellen, before we bring that to you for a vote, and we have not had an opportunity to do that. And so then we'd move on to item 3, which is the builder's risk insurance policy.
I have a question about B.2 now
Okay.
that I think of it. So we haven't had a subcommittee working group meeting, library working group meeting recently. Should the RFP for the third-party testing come to the whole library working group before it gets finalized, as other RFPs did previously?
I'm happy to have that happen. I leave that in your hands for the decision. This is a third-party testing is specifically an excerpt from what the code will require for structural steel testing, for concrete testing, as well as we've added in some roof testing, as we've discussed. And then there is also window and envelope testing. That is the summary of these tests. And
Yeah, I just want to be sure that, you know, the select board is happy with the work of the committee as it continues, because, you know, we do have members from the Permanent Town Building Committee on the working group, and and the working actions are supposed to happen with the working group, whereas the final votes are taken with the full Permanent Town Building Committee and Library Trust Committee.
So I
So,
think let's maybe go to. And I saw Jim's hand first, but I think Kristen may be able to answer the question that we've got on the floor.
okay.
So I actually have another question, and then maybe I'll be able to answer
Okay.
your question. So Jennifer, can you please confirm that, you know, everything going in the RFP are testing that we've discussed as the Permanent Town Building Committee and Board of Library Trustees in the past? And this is just to go out to bid for those services, or is this something new?
it's been in the project scope. They are code requirements for majority of these. They have been brought up before. It's in the project budget. And so this is an RFP to go out for bid. So it is not a new topic, but the drafts of the RFPs have not been reviewed by anyone in this committee, nor the working group, is what, as Jean just mentioned.
Okay, so my gut feeling is that it should go to the this group here. I don't think it has to go to the working group. We're issuing an RFP regardless, but I'm happy to entertain any other comments or questions before we make that decision.
I think that I think is the spirit of the will of the select board. That yes, this I think there's a very strong preference from the majority of the select board that the town building committee and trustees be making these decisions, not just a working group. So I'm with Kristen.
Okay, that's fine. Just want to make sure we follow the process.
Yeah. No, we if you follow the select board meetings, in particular, John's been quite forceful and wanting this to be, I think in his view, professionally managed, but by the town building committee and the trustees. And I think given the, the budget and the importance to the town, I think he's right. So, Jim, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, I was just curious, and I apologize, I was sort of half listening when you described the tests that were going out for review. Are these so those are in addition to the typical schedule of structural inspections and tests that are required. Is that correct? Which the structural engineer should have submitted a slate of all his compaction and any steel testing he wants or any of that kind of.
So these are exactly that. So these are all, the submittal is from the structural engineer.
Yeah, okay.
And so it is compaction, et cetera, the steel
Yeah.
testing. It's that we hire them as a third party so that they are not hired by Hutter, nor they are hired by the design team. And so this is the same part of the same exact test as you're referring to.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
But didn't we
sorry, I
add
just-
some? Didn't we add some testing for the roof because of our experience with past projects?
We did. We're going to add some roof testing to this.
some
And how
wall
about
assembly.
window glazing
Yeah.
testing?
Window glazing testing has been in the project scope from the beginning. So it's been in the specifications of what testing we would need to comply with. And this would be undertaken by the third-party testing agency as well.
So what's the
I'm not
timing? I guess would that be our next meeting? We'd see that RFP.
Yes.
And we're still on track if that's the timing.
I will confirm that, but I believe we are. Yes.
Any other questions on number 2?
So if I could just ask a question, because this will help clarify it for me. This is not the same as the commissioning agent that we are hiring. That's the way we've talked about additional testing at past meetings.
We have a commissioning agent who is
Okay.
already on board. They will be participating in the project through construction administration. You already have them on under contract.
Okay.
And they will be, once we kick off construction, they will be part of a meeting with Hutter to review commissioning and the expectations that they have set, because there's a specification in the project set on commissioning alone. The commissioning agent and the structural engineering firm jointly prepared the list of tests that are in the RFP for third-party testing. Some of them are more envelope related, like the window and the roofing, and some of them are more structural related, like concrete and steel. And so these compliance with testing falls in those, therefore, 2 different parts of the drawing specifications, some in the structural drawings and some in commissioning specifications. So
if I
go
could
ahead.
ask about timing, should I ask people to save the date of May 19th? Do we need to approve this before the June meeting? Because the last Monday in May would be Memorial Day. So I could send out a save the date notice and find out if we could have 2 quorums if we need to take action sooner.
That would actually be advantageous if May 19th, if we could have that for that date.
Okay, so I'll email everyone regarding, maybe a single agenda meeting for May 19th.
Jennifer, can I add something to Ellen's question? That the commissioning agent watches and the testing agent tests.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Okay. So you need them both.
Yeah. Right.
Are we okay going, we're going to number 3 then?
So
I
maybe
guess
we
it's a
can
yes.
just share that the postings for both the select board meeting on Friday, May 2nd, and for this meeting tonight, the 5th, show a not to exceed number of 220,419. But actually, when the paperwork came through, the select board, due to the documentation, approved a lower number. So I'll let Jennifer explain what this is, but then you should have the discussion. Do you want to approve the higher number because you haven't seen the lower number? And then when we prepare the accurate budget, you could approve that lower number within the budget. That's a choice you have tonight.
Is it okay if I jump in here?
Well, yeah, please. I think
Okay.
that's what, I think that was Ellen's invitation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm looking at another screen, so forgive me if I'm not looking straight ahead, but we have a builder's risk policy that is undertaken by the town of Westford, and this helps to protect your building during the construction of this. And we did learn from the insurance agent rather late in this process that we were asked to undertake an additional protective measure condition for water intrusion monitoring. And we have another series of other protective measures in the building, like security and so forth. But this water intrusion monitoring system will require that we have the main benefit of this is that it significantly reduces the deductible and also reduces your risk of potential for water. So this has a few options of how we proceed with the monitoring, and the different options will cost varying amounts, but also will reduce the premium as well. So one option is monitoring and alert only. And the second, the other option that we're considering is monitoring plus a flow meter and an automatic shutoff of the water. So essentially, in both of these, there would be water monitors that are put throughout the space, and these would be continually monitored, and they would set off an alert if water is detected. In the second option that I mentioned, and forgive us, in the all of the paperwork, it's called option 3. But it is, there's only 2 options that we're considering right now. This would have the ability for us to shut off the water if the monitoring monitors are activated.
And so the select board did discuss this at their meeting last Friday, and consensus was that alerts are nice, but if there's water flowing, alert only gets you a very, very, very small way where there you want to shut it off to avoid damage. So the select board was inclined to approve the shutoffs pending the approval of these 2 committees.
So maybe I'll just add that action on this is a vote under new business or approval of proposals. So.
Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, I have to admit I'm confused over options 1, 3, 2. Right there, the thing that you have up, Ellen, there's, option 1, 2, and 3 listing there in the table, but then there's descriptions of options 1 and 3, and then you were talking about Jennifer, options 1 and 2. I'm just
We're only considering options 1 and option 3.
option 1 and option 3.
Yes.
And you're saying, Scott, that the select board doesn't like option 3 because they
No,
don't.
we like option 3 because
Oh, you like
option 1 just says there's a problem. Option 3 says there's a problem and it gets fixed.
Oh, okay. Okay. My confusion, sorry. Thank you.
Jim?
So that just jogged a little something in my head when you start talking about protection and whatnot, and the water infiltration. I almost had thought that the way you phrased it to me was sounding more like water infiltration coming from a gaping hole like the whole back of the building when it's been removed. And I was really curious how you're gonna stop all that if it came in. But I like the option too as well. But it just jogged my mind that is there, or option three, whatever we're calling it these days, is there a 241 review on this, or a report on this that you know, that ties into who we contact and who gets contacted when any of it and all of these things, God forbid they happen, come up? I've just learned about this wonderful little item recently, and it's and it's a pretty interesting little document that that I would imagine this project would have,
Um,
stating like, you know, who gets called if there's a fire or somebody breaks in, or, you know, who on the project, let's say, I don't know, something goes wrong with a acetylene tank or something that's on site, all that kind of stuff. What happens with the fire system, suppression system and alarm system during the construction process, things like that.
I was thinking that um getting a RACI table together so we just know who's responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for a number of different eventualities would probably be a great thing to get started on this project. And I think that would address your concern, Jim.
Okay.
I think Jennifer's about to offer something, yeah.
yes, so so in terms of the requirements of what happens in the event of various challenges on site, so the sprinkler system, etc. Some of those are defined very clearly in the specifications. So part of what Hutter's requirement to prepare to us is a construction management plan. We have an entire section of the specifications on temporary construction measures. And so those are things that they are required to do during the construction period. So for example, our construction fence is part of that. And so if you were to look in our construction drawings, you're not going to see a drawing of what the construction fence design is, because it's not part of the permanent design, but this entire specification section requires that. And our builder's risk policy has been aligned with that specifically. And so there are additional requirements of the builder's risk policy. I'm trying to remember the protective measures. That is what we are requiring the contractor to provide. In terms of the notification procedures, many of that is spelled out in that portion of the spec, but that's what they have to do. What will the reality of what you're looking for is the construction management plan. And in addition, they have to provide a site-specific health and safety plan that also addresses sort of accidents and things of that nature. And part of our initial meeting with the pre-construction meeting was to talk about some of these things, but that these will all be getting created and also will be sent to the various town departments to make sure that their alert system is underway. Like the police and fire department, they were present for that meeting.
Are you okay, Jim, now with that answer?
Yeah, I'm just it's nice to see that if there's, you know, a specific document that has everybody on it, everybody's listed on it, and you know who gets the call when something happens, and how to, you know, and it's sort of a matrix on who starts calling first, all that kind of stuff, rather than just fire department, we'll call the fire department. And, you know, I'm sure you handle, right, Jennifer, I think you probably handle most of this stuff at the pre-con meeting, but, you know, site access, I'm sure all that kind of stuff, you know, how does fire get in and around, what's being left open, what's being blocked, you know, at what times, in the schedule as well as during the day, all that kind of stuff.
We did cover a lot of those issues, that there will be, let's say, for example, a Knox box so that this site will be under protection of a fence at some, once the construction starts. And so, how the Knox box will be, the Westford Fire Department's going to be providing something for Hutter Construction to install at the site. And some other things of that nature. They went through this. The police department also spoke about some of their notification procedures as well. But the formalization of it is the construction management plan.
Great.
Jean?
Thanks. Two questions. One is if we go with option 3, is this 22,990 a one-time cost or for the full project, or is it a yearly cost, or is it something that we will have to continue to pay after the construction is over? That's my first question. And then my second question is, are we comfortable with the amount of builder's risk insurance overall in case of a fire? For instance, this is one of probably our top building in town, and with, historic building fires from Notre Dame to, the recent fire at the church under construction in Georgia, the African American, historic church that burned down during construction. Are we comfortable from a fire standpoint with the builder's risk insurance policy?
So I'll speak on behalf of the town manager's office. I'll let Jennifer speak from her experience, but went through this policy very meticulously with our broker and the provider, and believe that it will serve us in the best interest of the town from all aspects.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
I can answer the first part of your question also, the amount. That covers, that number 22,990 is to cover the period of construction right now. So where we would be at risk is if the construction timeframe got extended. That's where there very likely would be an additional cost, because this is timed to the construction schedule that we have, which is 550 days of construction.
Okay. Thank you.
I also want to share at the pre-construction meeting, since you mentioned fire specifically, discussion of any hot work was, topic of hot work was discussed between the fire department and Hutter Construction. And fire department clarified their requirements for notification. So hopefully we're covered both with the policy that just was discussed, but also with prevention ahead of time to avoid the problem.
Good.
And I believe the additional monthly cost is about $920 if there were additional months of builder's risk insurance. So that would carry forward on a per month basis. So if I could double back, Scott, I think a question for the joint committee here is, do they want to approve the same number that the select board approved as a not to exceed number? That number doesn't appear on your screen. It's $212,168. Or do you want to approve the number in the agenda notice and then know that in the firm budget that Jennifer and I are starting to work on, you'll see the accurate number reflected. You could go either way.
Well, I mean, can we, Kristen? I mean, if the select board approved a not to exceed, if we do exceed, we have to go back to the board again, correct?
Yes, correct, because it's a contract.
So if we think it's doable within the lower number, I'd suggest we stick with that to avoid wait another what, week plus?
Yeah, and my understanding is that we wanted to have this buttoned up by May 12th for the notice to proceed, and the select board doesn't meet till the 13th. Also, I know we've been using this as a crutch, but we will have 2 new board members on May 13th, and they may not be fully up to speed with this and may ask for more time or more information. So just wanted to make this committee aware of that.
So let me repeat the number one more time. So the number as approved by the select board on Friday as not to exceed is $212,168 as opposed to the number that was posted in both agendas.
So should we make a motion at this
Yeah,
point?
yeah, is it here, Ellen, or is it under approval of warrants? It's here, right?
So you want to vote on this here, and
Okay,
then we
so,
vote on water intrusion under proposals.
okay, so the number is 212,189.
168.
So I make a motion to approve builder's risk insurance policy to reflect the select board meeting of Friday, May 2nd, to not to exceed number of 212,168.
Is there a second?
Second. Segowitz.
Okay, so I guess Buffy, would you please call the vote?
Sure, was that, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, here's the voting. Dirks, aye. Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Siegel,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Cook not here, Hazelton,
Aye.
Karpinski,
Aye.
Madden not here, Roberts,
Aye.
Wimberg,
Aye.
Segowitz.
Aye.
So that is 15-0-0. Nope, sorry.
No, it's not 15, I don't think.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10-0-0.
That sounds more like it.
Yeah.
I guess it's on to you, Ellen.
Yes, so I will just share the library closed 3 weeks for a move from March 31st through April 21st, Patriots Day. We open to the public on April 22nd. We are in good shape. We have 4 stack areas that are closed to the public. We are fetching books for the public, but we have browsing collections in all 3 suites. We have a reference and study suite, we have a young adult administrative suite, and we have a children's suite. So we're in good shape. There are 2 storage rooms. There's a children's storage room and a male storage room for staff that we're still tidying up a little bit, but and we've created quite a few new procedures, signage. We're learning things every day as we go along, but we're in great shape. We have a new chapter in our emergency manual, and the public is finding us, and so we're doing well. And I will just share, once we, as a town, sign the contract with Hutter Construction, we will be able to apply for our 3rd grant disbursement in the amount of $1,570,399. So far, all the costs of the project so far have been paid from the Mass Public Library Construction Program grants. On May 1st, the town treasurer, shared with me, she did float a $20 million bond for this project because of the AAA bond credit rating, and because of a special coupon for the bond, the net interest on that bond is 3.389%. And for FY26 only, when only the interest is being paid off, the average assessed household of $796,000 will pay $79.38, and then that number will go higher in FY27 when both principal and interest are being paid off on this project. So that will be closer to the $130 number that we had in our earlier presentations. So so we're glad to be back open to the public, and we're looking forward to our first summer reading program, in a mix of offsite offerings.
Tom?
Ellen, how is the computer access and networking working out for you?
So you're going to see a number of tech bills coming up here under this next. We to talk globally, we reduced our site area by 10,000 square feet. So we have a one public computer in each of the 3 suites. One of the items you're going to be voting on is a software license so we can put out laptops that the public can use. Our photocopier will now do printing and we have faxing ability. But it's a very compact area. So we're relying on what has been our experience, that so many of our users come if they're studying and bring their own laptop. We have Wi-Fi. We have had our alarms, our panic alarms put in, and there will be one more bill to have a few more receivers or boosters essentially for that. We're looking to relocate one phone with an extension we use very seldom in our lower basement area. So only library staff at this point have the swipe card to get into the basement area, but we are taking steps to be sure that that is as safe as possible. You know, we've had both frozen staff and at the moment we've had retired staff. So we are at a low staffing level, and a number of the things you see coming up in this next number 4 have to do with safety and the technology at the site.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So I guess we move on to the warrants, invoices, journal entries, and you see all of them there, totaling $59,597.74. Any questions on? I guess I'll play town moderator. Are there any holds on these items that, or do you want to take them as a block?
So I have one item. We need to revise the reimbursement request letter to go with the $315 to reimburse Christina. It mistakenly says that it's a staff recognition reimbursement. So we will revise that tomorrow, and I think we'll have that signed by Mike Padden instead of a library trustee. I'm afraid there was some signs of rush there.
It happens. So with that caveat, is there a motion to approve the warrants, invoices, and journal entries totaling $59,597.74?
So moved.
Second,
That's Chris.
Yes.
Is there a second?
second,
Jean.
Jean.
Gene's a second. Okay. I guess Duffy, please call the roll.
Okay, Dirks, I, Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Siegel,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Cook not here, Hazelton,
Aye.
Karpinski,
Aye.
Madden and not here, Roberts,
Aye.
Wimberg,
Aye.
and 1100, and the previous one was also 1100.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of proposals, change orders, and additional services. There's one item here on the water loss prevention services. We've alluded to it a couple times. Ellen, is that yours to explain, or is that Jennifer?
This is the option 3
Oh,
that we
okay,
saw
okay.
earlier. So I just put it here because it is you know, a separate proposal. So
Okay, so we've already approved the amount. This is the insurance amount. This is to approve the cost to fund it, right?
correct.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve water loss prevention services in the amount not to exceed $22,990?
So moved.
That's Jean's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Sounds like Glenn. Okay,
Yes, it was. Yep.
so yeah, I guess one more time on the roll, please, Buffy.
Dirks, I, Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach, Secor,
Aye.
Siegel,
Aye.
Teal,
Aye.
Cook not here, Hazelton,
Aye.
Kropinski,
Aye.
Haddon not here, Roberts,
Aye.
Winberg,
Aye.
Segowitz,
Aye.
11-0-0.
Thank you. And I guess all business is supposed to be back to you, Ellen, for the groundbreaking.
So I'll just share, we're working on the groundbreaking invite list. Hutter Construction has confirmed that they have the special hard hats and the shovels. We'll of course be inviting all of the usual, as well as the building consultants from the Board of Library Commissioners, and then they will be sure that there is a commissioner there as well. So we are working on that, and we'll do a swift turnaround and invite as soon as we know we're ready for the go-ahead.
Okay. Yeah, do we get colored shovels, Ellen? The Mass DOT, we had nice, pretty blue shovels. There was
Oh,
just kidding.
okay.
So Ellen, will the whole committee be invited?
Well, yes, I think all the select board, every commission and board who voted on this, our state officials, I think our Friends Board, our Foundation Board, all of the committee, yes. So I think, the Friends and Foundation, hope to maybe be able to have refreshments after the fact at the church next door. So we'll have some rapid footwork to do when we know we finally can throw some dirt in the backyard. So yes, it will be, I think there'll be a sizable invitation list.
Thanks.
New business is well, anything else on the old business? Like,
I actually just, I have a bit of old business with apologies. It's just old from earlier. I misspoke about one piece and I want to just correct it. We were talking about the NFPA 241 requirements, and I said that there was a spec section that you could find information. There's 2 of them that relate to this. So if you all have access to the project specifications, but it's covered under 2 spec sections. One is the special project procedures, which is section 013150, which speaks directly about the NFPA 241 requirements, as well as the health and safety plan, as I mentioned. And then the second place is what I described earlier, the temporary facilities and controls, which is section 015000. It's the combination of these 2 sections that describe temporary conditions, site safety, site security, the NFPA 241 requirements, etc., which is NFPA 241 is about safety and construction prevention. That it's the standards for safeguarding construction alterations and demolition operations is the NFPA 241 requirement, which is one of the sections that Hutter is, or any of the subcontractors working on the project have to comply with. But Tom, you have a
Yeah,
follow-up question?
I'm sorry, I missed the
Yes.
first number.
The first one is temporary facilities and controls is 015000.
Mhm.
And the other one is
I think it's 013150.
013150. It's called special project procedures.
150, thank you. Thought I missed a number. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt on that.
so any other old business? So moving on to new business, approve the Amplifund monthly report of March 2025.
So this will be the last vanilla kind of simplified report. As of April, when we have next month's report, it will be more robust.
So we need to vote on this. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Glenn,
Second.
okay, the second is who? Sorry.
Oh, it was
Jean?
Mary Ann? Or
Okay.
whoever, it doesn't matter.
So we have a motion and a second. Buffy, please call the roll.
Sorry, was that Mary Ann who did the second?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, here's the roll. Dirk's aye, Fleckner,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Siegel,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Cook not here, Hazelton,
Aye.
Rapinski,
Aye.
Eden not here, Roberts,
Aye.
Wimberg,
Aye.
Segowitz,
Aye.
11-0-0.
Thank you. Upcoming meeting dates, do we need to add May 19th, or I guess
Yeah.
we're going to research May 19th, right, Ellen?
I'll be sure to send out a save the date and I'll survey everyone to be sure we can get 2 quorums together.
Other than that, our next meeting is June 2nd. Anything else that needs to come before this meeting?
You know, trustees will be staying on for their monthly meeting.
Okay, so Town Building Committee, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, I guess, Buffy, you want to call
Here we
that roll?
go. Yep, Dirk's aye, Fleckner,
Aye.
No, I think just the Town Building Committee.
what's that?
The trustees are going to stay in session, so only the Town Building Committee is
Well,
leaving.
I think we usually
Okay.
conclude this with a
Okay.
full vote.
2 separate
Okay.
meetings.
Fleckner,
Get rid of us, huh?
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Secor,
Aye.
Siegel,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Cook not here, Hazelton,
Aye.
Rapinski,
Aye.
Eden not here, Roberts,
Aye.
Wimberg,
Aye.
Segowitz,
Aye.
11-0-0 at 7:31.
Thanks all.
Thanks. I guess I'll see control of Glenn now.
Have a good evening.
Ellen.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Mr. Scott.